Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. I'm here, Jody Fitzgerald, with A Dog's View. And today I want to explore something so important, yet so often overlooked, that dogs are dynamic. They're dynamic beings that are constantly learning and growing, adapting, maturing, and aging at a pace far faster than we do. And if their world is always changing and shifting, how could their behavior always stay the same? Let's step back into their paws for a minute and think about this together. Because I think that dogs are always learning, that the brain is always on record. It's like input on a computer. It's always taking in information. And have you ever noticed how one experience can change your dog almost instantly, like a scary noise or a joyful play moment or a stressful walk, right? Or a calm, predictable routine? Dogs are learning every single day, sometimes intentionally, and often accidentally. But here's something to think about. What has your dog been learning in the last week? Something must have changed. Something is different in the last month or today. Learning is dynamic. Every repetition will build a pattern. Emotion really stamps in a memory, and the whole situation can shape expectations. So dogs experience the world through a combination of their past experiences, good or bad, and their genetics, their natural need to survive. All of this shapes how they learn, how they respond, and how they interpret the world in their own individual way. Their actions are not random, they're meaningful reflections of everything they've lived through and everything they are. The environment is always dynamic, it's always changing, and it shapes in the world shapes every emotion that your dog has. So let's talk about that, for a minute. The world that your dog is living in. Ask yourself, has anything changed in your dog's environment recently? Sometimes something as small as a chair being moved to a different position in the room can really affect a dog, and some dogs are very sensitive to these things, and some things don't even seem to some dogs, many, don't even seem to notice. But if you watch, sometimes your dog does really notice, especially things moving, even with construction or renovations, right? They can really confuse a dog sometimes, and other dogs don't seem to notice it. So, what has your dog noticing? What's changed in the environment? Noise levels, the different season, visitors, new dogs, your own stress can be affecting your dog's routine, because environment is not only the physical objects. It's definitely the place space that you're in at the time, that they're in at the time, at any moment, but it's also the feeling, the energy from that we are giving into it that is affecting them in their environment too. So if we're under a lot of stress, if suddenly, there's an illness in the family or something upsetting happening to anybody, if for any reason life is full of stress, that can be affecting our dogs. So these changes might seem small to us, or we just go through them in our daily lives, but to a dog, even tiny environmental shifts, this energy or any change, can create huge emotional shifts in dogs. These changes, and because dogs mature and age so quickly, their sensory world is always changing too, constantly changing. Uh, Here's another big question. Is your dog's hearing, if your dog's hearing, vision, mobility, energy, or confidence has changed with age, have you changed your expectations too? If your dog is slowing down a little bit, are you thinking about slowing down on what you're asking them to do, how much activity, or maybe they need a little rest? Um, it's and recognizing this and supporting dogs, right? Because the environment is always changing. It's not just a physical space, it's an emotional climate. And another area to look at, and this is using the legs model, the genetics, huge part of what is always very dynamic. Uh, these are programs, and genetics are programs that some, especially with younger dogs, thinking about as dogs are maturing in their life, that these programs of genetics to take wake up over time. And dogs go through massive developmental phases in their first couple of years, far quicker and far more dramatic than humans do. So think about this. How old is your dog right now? What genetics are waking up at this stage of their immaturity as they're aging? What's going on? Are they 6 months? Is very, very different than a 12-month old. And at 12 months, it's very different than 18 months. And at 2 years, it's different again. And their different genetics wake up and seem to notice the environment as they mature and age. And many dogs, especially working guardian dogs, uh, herding dogs, terriers, hunting breeds, they don't even finish maturing until they're 3 or 4, some of these breeds. So the genetics don't just turn on at birth, they're developing, they're always strengthening, and they show themselves through the entire part of life. So if your young dog's behavior is changing, they're not being bad. It's their genetics coming online, turning on, waking up. And when dogs start aging, their genetics do influence. They get new fears if they can't see, or maybe they're sound sensitive. Um, this can really has to be considered. Is there? It's so important to think about their genetics. Dogs can sometimes, when they're older, get need more different space, have their own space and more rest time, and have different levels of being able to have emotional enter their energy, their emotional energy with others changes too. They just would rather be left alone, maybe, or only want the slower paced. A pup is maybe too much. So we have to be thinking about these things. Um, the genetics is huge, and we need to consider this when looking at the fact of that you can't fix dogs. You have to learn their genetics. We have to understand what's going on for them. And the self, that's what takes us into the self, the inner world that changes every day. I wake up feeling different every day. Love when it's wonderful and I'm energetic and I'm excited for the day. And to me, it's important to be productive. So I have these things that I'd like to get done, but I also want to enjoy some of the day with my dogs. Um, but not every day I'm feeling extremely energetic. So it does change for a variety of reasons. And that's the most important question. How is your dog feeling today? Um, Not yesterday, not last year, not when they were a puppy, but right today. How are they physically, emotionally, psychologically? Do they feel safe? Their inner world is very dynamic too. And hormones, their health, pain, emotions, fatigue, their stress, their confidence, their social needs, their sleep quality, gut health, aging is all changes are all happening and affecting their self every day, just like you and I. And these influence behavior more than anything. So remember that dogs live compressed lives. They're captive. They are in our homes and they age so fast and they mature and they experience physical and emotional changes so rapidly. A 6 months period for us feels more like a year or two for them. So when we're talking about dogs being dynamic, when I say that they are dynamic, we're saying that they're constantly becoming a new versions of themselves. So here's what I want you to think about. If if your dog is always changing, are you willing to change with them? Because when behavior shifts, instead of asking what's wrong with my dog, the real question is what are they learning? What's happening in their environment? What genetics are waking up or slowing down? How is their self, their mind, their body, their emotions feeling today? This is how we get to support dogs with curiosity, with compassion and flexibility and empathy. This is how we get to help them experience the good life. If you notice changes in your dog and you're not sure why, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to help you understand your dog and the dog in front of you today, not the dog they used to be and not the dog someone else expects them to be. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share a dog's view. Tell me in the comments, what changes have you noticed in your dog as they mature or aged? Your stories help others to understand their dogs too. Thanks for watching. I will have my link to book a call. Please share and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, because I'm here to make life better for you and your dog, and to keep your dog in your home and have the best life together. Have a great day. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.